I smoothed the silk of my blouse for what felt like the 100th time, listening to the faint clink of silverware from the dining room. The chandelier overhead cast a warm glow, but it did little to mask the tension I felt curling in my stomach. My phone buzzed on the marble counter, another reminder that my life, polished and controlled on the outside, was still holding pieces no one knew about. I had spent years perfecting the act: the sleek apartment in Chicago, my name on the award plaques, the weekend trips nobody at home could afford. And yet, a part of me still flinched at family dinners, at my father's booming voice, at the weight of expectations that never seemed to die. Tonight was supposed to be simple, my little brother's birthday, my parents' idea of celebration. But I could feel it already, the kind of gathering where words carried more power than kindness, where history could sneak out from between the cracks. I heard the front door open, and my father's voice carried immediately, strong and undeniable. "We all." The words cut through the room before I even registered them. My heart skipped, my palms dampened, and I knew that whatever followed wasn't just another reminder of the past. This was a moment that would demand everything I had learned to protect about myself. I took a slow breath, feeling the smooth silk under my fingers and the pulse in my ears, and for the first time in years, I wondered if I was ready to let them see the real me. I remember the night like it was etched into my skin. I was 18, sitting on the threadbare couch in our cramped living room in Denver, my hands trembling around a mug of lukewarm tea. My father, Michael Hayes, stood across from me, arms crossed, his face rigid with disappointment. "You're throwing your future away, Samantha," he said, voice sharp, echoing off the walls. "College is important. You can't just drift off chasing dreams that don't pay the bills." I swallowed the lump in my throat, the words tasting bitter, and for a moment, I felt myself shrinking into that corner of the couch, small and invisible. My mother didn't intervene. She never did. The room smelled faintly of cinnamon from the candles I had lit earlier, a weak attempt to soothe myself, but it only made the tension more tangible. I just want to try something different," I whispered, my hands twisting in the fabric of my old sweatshirt. "I need to find out what I can do on my own." Michael's eyes hardened. "On your own? Don't make me laugh. You won't survive out there without family support. You'll fail. And then you'll come crawling back, won't you?" I felt the sting of rejection like fire against my skin, the kind that leaves invisible scars. I looked down at my grandmother's locket, the small gold pendant I always wore around my neck. Inside, she had left a note when I graduated high school. "Your courage will be the map no one else can give you. Trust it." It was the only warmth in that room that night. I clutched it, feeling its weight against my chest, and something shifted. I didn't have anyone in that room who believed in me, so I had to become my own believer. The next morning, I packed a single suitcase, wrote a short note for my parents, and left before anyone could stop me. The city outside felt enormous and terrifying, but it was mine now. Every step away from that house, from their expectations and disbelief, was a step toward the woman I was meant to become. I would find my own way, and I would succeed, even if they didn't see me until much later. Chicago was louder, brighter, and infinitely more terrifying than Denver had ever been. I arrived with nothing but a suitcase, a stubborn streak, and my grandmother's locket around my neck. The first few months were brutal. I juggled 3 part-time jobs: barista, receptionist, freelance assistant, while taking night classes in marketing and digital design. I slept on a fold-out couch that creaked under every shift of my weight, and often went days without calling home. It was during one of those late nights at a local co-working space that I met someone who would change everything. Claire Donovan, a seasoned graphic designer in her 40s, noticed me struggling with a particularly tricky client project. She didn't scold me, didn't belittle my efforts. She simply said, "You have talent, Samantha. Don't let anyone make you doubt it." Her words struck deeper than I expected. I had spent so long hearing criticism that encouragement felt almost foreign, but it lit a spark. With Claire's mentorship, I began to carve a path. I learned how to pitch myself, how to negotiate, how to turn small gigs into recurring clients. There were nights I cried in front of my laptop, frustrated by designs that didn't work or pitches that failed. There were moments I doubted my sanity, wondering if leaving home, defying my family, had been worth it. But each small victory fueled me. My first big client paid me enough to finally afford my own studio apartment. The first profitable freelance project felt like lifting a boulder off my chest. Every milestone, no matter how minor, whispered that I was building a life entirely my own. Despite this, I kept my family in the dark. I posted occasional success updates on social media, photos of coffee cups, blurry cityscapes, innocuous smiles, but I never showed the scale of what I was accomplishing. They expected struggle, and I let them. It became a quiet rebellion, a way to keep the upper hand without ever needing to speak. I bought my first small condo in Chicago secretly, naming it my launch pad. I painted the walls with colors I loved, hung prints that reminded me of home but symbolized growth, and slowly filled it with reminders of the life I was constructing. Every evening, I would look at the locket around my neck, whispering the mantra my grandmother had left me. Your courage will be the map no one else can give you. Trust it. By the time I had amassed enough savings to consider investing in my own startup, I had become unrecognizable, not just to them, but even to my old self. I was still Samantha Hayes, but she was a version refined through struggle, resilience, and quiet triumph. And I knew, deep down, that when the time came to face my family again, it would not be as the girl who left Denver afraid and uncertain. It would be as the woman they had doubted. The family dinner was set in my parents' suburban dining room, but I had asked to host at my new place. I wanted control over the stage, the ambience, the story I was about to tell. As my father, mother, and younger brother stepped inside, the first thing they noticed was the space itself. The condo was sleek but warm. Modern art adorned the walls, soft lighting highlighted carefully chosen furniture, and the scent of fresh jasmine lingered in the air. A polished wooden table held a simple but elegant spread, a mix of familiar comfort foods and flavors I had learned to master from cooking classes over the years. It was cozy, yet undeniably sophisticated, just like me. Michael Hayes paused at the doorway, his eyes narrowing. "This isn't the apartment I expected," he muttered. I smiled lightly, taking in every detail of their expressions. The surprise, the curiosity, the subtle defensiveness. "I wanted you to see me here first," I said, my voice steady. "Not because I need your approval, but because this is the life I've built." My mother's hand trembled slightly as she adjusted her scarf. My little brother, Ethan, looked around in awe, clearly impressed but confused by the polished aesthetic. They had pictured me struggling in a cramped studio, surviving day to day, not this. I gestured to my shelves, lined with awards, framed client letters, and neatly organized portfolios. "I own my own company now," I said. "I manage several high-profile clients. My work has been featured nationally, and my startup is profitable. All of this," I tapped the desk in front of me, "is the result of years I spent learning, failing, and refusing to let anyone else define me." Their reactions were instantaneous. Michael's jaw tightened, and for a brief second, I thought he might say something cutting, but he didn't. Instead, disbelief flickered across his features, followed by an uncomfortable silence. My mother's eyes widened, tears brimming. Ethan just blinked, absorbing it all like he was seeing a completely different version of his sister. I let the pause stretch, letting them feel the weight of every unspoken expectation, every doubt they had ever cast in my direction. "I didn't tell you any of this," I continued softly, "because I knew you didn't believe I could do it. And, honestly, I didn't need you to." Michael finally broke the silence, his voice low, almost choked with emotion. "Samantha, I know what you were going to say," I interrupted gently but firmly. "I know you're proud and shocked, and maybe ashamed for doubting me. That's okay. It's part of learning. But I needed to do this on my own terms. And now, here I am." For the first time in years, I saw the reality settle in their eyes. The girl they underestimated had grown into a woman they couldn't ignore, a woman who had flourished in spite of their doubts. Every gesture, every accomplishment, every small secret victory, I had accumulated over the years culminated in this moment. And in that silence, before any words could escape my father's mouth, I realized something. I didn't need their approval anymore. They could finally see me, not as the child who left Denver scared, but as the woman who had trusted her courage and built her life exactly the way she wanted. After letting them absorb the revelation, I took a deep breath. This wasn't just about showing them my success. It was about reshaping the dynamics that had held me back for years. I had the upper hand now, and I intended to use it wisely. I want you all to understand something. I began, my voice calm but unwavering. I can help you, yes. But things have to change. This is not a second chance to fall back into old patterns. Michael looked skeptical, but I held his gaze. Dad, I won't tolerate judgment, control, or dismissive attitudes anymore. If we're going to move forward, you need to listen, respect boundaries, and support rather than criticize. That's non-negotiable. My mother's eyes welled up. Samantha, she started, but I gently raised a hand. I know this will be hard, I said softly, but it's necessary. Mom, I want you to stop worrying about things you cannot control. Focus on your passions, painting, volunteering, whatever makes you feel alive again. Stop living through fear and what-ifs. Ethan, you have talent too, but you've been lazy, waiting for someone else to define you. I want you to set a goal for yourself and stick to it. No shortcuts. No excuses. I could see the mixture of guilt and relief on their faces. They weren't used to being given conditions. They were used to giving them. But now the roles had reversed. I was the architect of our future interactions. Help doesn't mean control. I continued. It means encouragement. I will guide, I will support, but only if you are willing to do the work. No more toxic habits, no more old grudges, and absolutely no undermining each other. We are a family, but this family runs on honesty, respect, and effort. My effort included, but not solely. Michael's shoulders stiffened, then gradually relaxed. He realized the truth. This wasn't punishment. It was growth. For the first time, I saw him listening, really listening, instead of preparing his next reprimand. I let the room breathe, letting my words sink in. My grandmother's locket pressed against my chest, a reminder of why I had made it this far. Courage, she had said, was the map. Tonight, I was guiding them, not just through their shock at my success, but toward better versions of themselves. Finally, I added, if you're willing to accept these conditions, we can rebuild. If not, then at least you will see that I can thrive without waiting for approval. The room was quiet, heavy with the weight of possibility. I could feel the shift, not just in the air, but in myself. I wasn't the uncertain teenager anymore. I was Samantha Hayes, resilient, accomplished, and unafraid to demand respect. The weeks that followed felt almost surreal. My parents, once so rigid and unyielding, began to show subtle changes. Michael still carried his stern demeanor, but it softened when he complimented a project I was proud of, or when he asked my advice on small decisions. Genuine, not controlling. My mother, encouraged by my insistence, enrolled in an art workshop she had dreamed of for years, painting late into the evenings with a freedom I hadn't seen before. Even Ethan started taking initiative, applying himself in ways that suggested he finally believed in his own potential. I watched all of this quietly, sipping my coffee each morning and feeling a satisfaction that had nothing to do with approval. Change, I realized, doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, a series of small victories strung together, much like the life I had built for myself. One evening, I held the small gold locket from my grandmother in my hand. Its weight against my palm was a comforting reminder of the journey I had taken, the nights of uncertainty, the mistakes, the triumphs, and the resilience it had demanded. I traced the engraved words softly. Your courage will be the map no one else can give you. Trust it. I realized then that the map wasn't just about my path. It was about guiding those around me too, showing that courage combined with self-respect could inspire change, even in people who once doubted you most. I had built my empire quietly, protected my spirit fiercely, and now I could witness transformation not because I forced it, but because I allowed it. As I looked around at my family, flawed, Still learning, yet willing to try, I felt a profound sense of closure. The girl who had left Denver afraid and uncertain had become a woman who understood the value of patience, boundaries, and unwavering belief in herself. I smiled, letting the warmth of the moment wash over me. Life had taught me that growth could coexist with love, and that strength did not mean coldness. It meant guiding with clarity, demanding respect, and holding space for healing. And as the evening sun filtered through the windows, casting long shadows across the dining table, I whispered to myself, a soft but certain declaration. I built my life, I honored my courage, and I will never apologize for thriving.